Hey, Cookster here. Finally got my 69 C10 back in the shop. Alright, so what we're doing in this video is regapping the rear door gap. I have regapped the entire gap all the way down the back side of the door. Started out, my quarter panel, or B-pillar, whichever you want to call it, was too close to the door. So I had to split, yeah I did, you heard me say it, I split the seam all the way up through here, re-welded it. So I did a lot of work on this gap here. It looks really good now. I've got a 3/16 piece of Lexan or plexiglass I'll use for a gapping tool, and it fits really well. Compared to my front gap that I worked earlier and my earlier videos on my truck, it looks really good. So the rear gaps are tight. Even the 3/16 won't go in there. The original door gaps from the factory were pretty good on this truck. They were about 3/16 front and back. But as you know, I hope you know if you watch the videos, this door has been completely I completely took the skin off, welded on a new bottom, reshaped all the, well I didn't reshape, I welded the skin back on and had to do all the body work on the edges and the fenders and all this. So all this, let me back out. All this side has been reworked, you know, some way or another, shape or form. For the better, let's hope. So what that wound up doing was making my rear gap a little back here, a little tighter than I'd like. Yes, I could scoot the door forward a bit, but again, if you watch my videos about these doors, I've got all the forward adjustment there is into these doors, which normally doing body work you don't want to do. You want to have some play when you're fitting for final tweaks down the road. But I've got these things, one of the hinges, I can't remember now, bottom or top, or maybe hell both of them, shammed. I've got these hinges either bottom or top, can't remember, slammed completely forward, which again is not best practice, but it is what it is. And you can look at the door gap here at the cab. This cab gap up here is tight right here. It's also really tight right there, and now it's a little wide here, and again that's just the misshape of this door. I could rework this gap, and I don't know, I'm probably not going to. I could, but the gap around the top and the back is really good. And when you're adjusting these doors, that's on these trucks especially, this gap around the door, the upper door, the top door, around the windshield, around the A-pillar and back across the B-pillar and down and across the cab is really critical. You've got to pretty much get that gap spot on, because you can't obviously adjust the roof unless it's been wrecked, but we won't talk about that. You can't adjust the roof. You can adjust the fenders and the doors to some degree. You're running in sheet metal. So I've got the cab, this gap here fitting really good. So that pretty much makes everything else on the door fitment have to base off of this gap, which is where I'm at. So that was a lot of rambling for not a lot of input, but that means my door gap here at the back is a little narrow. I can't push the door forward. So what I'm going to do, and some of y'all are going to cringe, and I'm sorry, I'll split all down through here and then drive back of the cab this way, that way, you know, to gain some gap. You can cringe if you want. That's what I'm going to do. Also, the skin to door gap fitment is really good at the corner, which is again kind of what you want. And then as we go down the door, especially in here and then right along in here, they don't match. This side on here the cab is sticking out too far. Here the cab's in a little low, and then the corner down here is pretty good again, which is what you want, and it's off. So it's off either in or out pretty much the whole way down. And then of course the bottom, you know, from about here down, I'm cutting off and replacing that cab corner. I went ahead and cut the gap. I didn't get to grab the camera, so sorry, but you know what cutting looks like. So keep in mind, when this gap is too wide, this piece here is too far this way, you have to have space to drive the panel back. I have not started driving this back yet. I want you to see it before I did that. This is one cutoff blade thickness. And keep in mind, this distance between the door and the cab is not consistent all the way up. It wavers, you know, in and out, in and out. So you're gonna have to be careful. So you need to take your time and only adjust small amounts at a time. And then the best thing to do would be to tack it. And also, let me mention, I didn't cut the whole thing off because I didn't want the panel just sitting here flopping in the breeze. And I'll stop somewhere up along in here as I'm tacking this back together, because if I stop right here, then I got a big knot. So you want to stop a few inches short of where you cut it. But anyway, you go along through here and make, adjust small areas at a time. And it's best to go ahead and tack it back together, because if you don't, you start working down here, this area is not tacked, it moves too. Now you may have to come back again and cut out a tack and redo it, and if you do, that's just part of the game. This comes with the territory. Basically, it's just a matter of taking my body hammer here and bumping this in, and when I get it to a point where I like it, I'll tack it. Probably ought to go grab a spoon right quick, or a screwdriver, because I'm going to need it. I'm certain of it. Well, hang on. It's just a 1/16 inch thick spoon and of course a screwdriver. Alright, let's start here and see what we can do. You may have to hit this harder than you think you're going to have to hit it to get it to move. So I got a thick spoon too. Some of y'all call these slappers. They've always been a spoon to me. I'm fixing to have to hit this pretty hard, and when I do that, it is going to kind of dimple the area where I'm hitting. So if you use a spoon and hit against your spoon, it spreads spreads the hammerhead blowout, and it won't make that little dimple. And sometimes it will make one, but not as bad. I'm gonna put the spoon on it and hit it pretty hard. If I was hitting just the hammerhead on here this hard, I'd be making dents and dimples in here. I don't want to do that. Still haven't moved it a whole lot. I might get a bigger hammer. Alright, move on to the body man's best friend. Get a bigger hammer. I could have gone for a ball peen, but let's just go for the gusto. This is a, I don't know, 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds. Anyway, be careful with this thing. I would advise never ever hit this on a piece of sheet metal you're trying to save. If you're, banging out a wreck or something, that's different. So definitely use a spoon or something, piece of metal, whatever you got around. I like the spoon because it's a spoon. But don't ever hit this on sheet metal without having a spoon or something. You'll make a mess. Still not moving a whole lot. That moved a little bit. I buckled it, so I definitely moved it. Moved it up here. Oh, now we're moving. And the skin out here is buckling, so when it moves in, it buckles. That metal does that. So that's a good indicator if it's actually moving and it starts to buckling. And don't drive your buckle back down until you get some tacks in there. Some people might disagree with that, but if you do, you're going to push the metal back out to some degree. I mean, there's different schools of thought on that, but alright, now I finally moved it. Okay, what's happening here, as I mentioned, it's really bouncy. So hitting down here, it's just bouncing on me. I can actually take my fingers and close the gap up. So what I'm going to do, I've moved this top section really good, and all the way down to about here, which is a couple inches above where I stopped to cut. I can also take my spoon here and move this over while the door's shut, and that lets me see my gap and how much it's moving. Alright, let me get a couple of tacks on here. It's a little snug in a couple of spots. We'll work it down just a little bit here if I can. That's tapping the buckle down right there. So. Alright, we'll throw a couple more tacks in there. Another buckle to work down here. This top section here got a little wide on me. I'm going to add a little bit of weld bead to the front side here. It's kind of wobbling anyway, and I'm going to show you in just a moment what I'm talking about. But I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix it. So let me go ahead and throw a couple of tacks in here. The top side where it blends into the area under the drip rail, I'm using a little massaging. I can't do a lot here. I can do what I can. That's better. That actually looks halfway decent. So here's the gap now from here down to about here. Hope you can see, how much tighter it is here up to where I quit cutting. So let me show you with the gauge. It fits at a bit of an angle. The way this door is made, and this jamb is made, the jamb doesn't really come in at a true 90. It kind of kicks that way, which makes your gauge kind of go into that angle. If I was trying to get it in perfectly straight, I'd have to keep making the jamb wider, and I don't want to do that. It's wide as I want it now. So using my gauge at a bit of an angle, you can see, it fits really well up to almost the very top, which is what I wanted, right along in there. Now, a couple of areas I want to show you. So I'm not sure if you can see in the light. Let's see how there's a little bobble right here in the seam. I could probably get a straight edge and show it to you better, but there's a little bobble right here. That's where this edge is still a little bit curved out this way. And then right through here, let me show you, there's a couple of dimples right here and right here where it's bent. So what it does, it comes in and it's bent. So this is where I was saying I need to add a little bit of weld bead and build this corner up some here, both this way and out, to get this dent basically out. I can fill it full of filler, but as I've mentioned many times, I hate to build panel edges with filler. I really like to do it with weld bead or weld. So I'll run a little bit of weld bead on here and then come back and dress it with a grinder. This little high spot right here I don't like it at all. So I'm going to take the hammer. Let me see if I can do it here right quick while you're watching me, which you probably ain't going to be able to see. Once I have this, yeah, that's better. Once I have it tacked back together and the panels aren't bouncing anymore, you can do much more. You can do a lot more shaping. That's way better. I don't know if you can see that, but I can see it just from here. It took that bulge out that was right there. Let me close the door again. Yeah, that bulge that was right here, it's gone. Maybe a tiny little bit of bobble in it, but it's very minor. So honestly, the whole gap now looks really good, except like I was saying, with these spots right here where I need to put a little bit of weld bead. And even with the door closed, it doesn't look bad. But there's the little dent and the little dent right there that I want to fix. Let me also mention about my door adjustment here. I don't have my door rubber in here yet. I've got my door adjusted to full pull. In other words, watch the door come in and I pull it back out. That's me pulling it all the way out, and I've got it adjusted so when I pull it out, it's in position where I want it when I close the door. Now I'm taking a straight edge and using it down through here. The only place I'm really off bad is right along in here. The cab is in, and then down here the cab is out, and I can fix all that. I can fix it, Spicoli. No, Spicoli says I can fix it. Anyway, what was I saying? I got sidetracked. So when I'm checking my gap, it's important to have your door, in plane or where you want it, adjusted to where you want it, so you can adjust everything else to it. Plus, the door gap will fit correctly. If you got the door, way out here or way in, it affects how your door gap here works. Especially on this cab, where I said the flange, like I said, is not at a 90. It's kicked in. So the further in you go with the door, the tighter this gap gets. So don't fall into that trap. So anyway, there's that, and then here's my door gap tool again. And the gap looks really good now. I like it. It does look a little wide, but as I said, when I block it and get some paint on it, it's going to close up that few thousandths of an inch, whatever, and it will make it look better. I want to fill these little spots right here. They're not bad. They're staring me right in the face in that jam, and I don't want that there. I want that fixed. But I think what I'm going to do now, I've got a high spot right here. Better. I think what I'm going to do now is go ahead and put some more tacks in here, up and down this seam. I'm just working my hammer around that corner to try to make that corner move a little bit and not be so bent, for lack of a better term. It's hard to explain. And again, I am nitpicking. I think that's just playing tricks on my eyes, but I'm calling myself that I can see a little wobble right there. And you can't see this. I'm just working it back. We're talking thousandths of an inch here. I'm not moving this thing any hugely measurable amount. I don't believe you can see it in the camera, so I'm not going to try to move around and show it to you. Just get it as best as you can till you're satisfied with it. If you're a perfectionist like me, it's going to take some doing and some tediousness, which is probably not a word. Alright, I'm happy with that. Again, till about right along in here. Let me work this area right here a little bit. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I worked this little area right here, this area right here, and it looks much better. I like that much better. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put some more tacks in here, put some weld bead on this edge right here, and then go from there. I do want to put some weld bead right here in this corner, which you probably can't see, but I'm going to do it. I'm doing that, as I said, those couple of dents in there, and that seam's wavy. I want to be able to come out with a grinder and kind of straighten that seam out, so I don't have to put filler in it. I don't want to build the edge with filler. Yeah, I think I know what I'm doing. All right, here we go. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to rough grind this now. If you're new to my channel, I usually rough grind with 36. In other words, I knock it down, but not completely all the way. 36 is pretty aggressive, and it will grind in the sheet metal, especially if you're not careful or experienced about how to do this. But generally I'll knock it down with 36 and then come back with 60 and final grind it. That's probably what I'm going to do to this. So let's get started here. And just in case you're wondering, I should be wearing goggles, but it's humid as hell today. It's 80% humidity. And goggles and glasses, humidity, they fog up. Just so don't yell at me too much about not wearing goggles. I mean, I'm being careful, but I know, you know, so just whatever. You want to be careful grinding this kind of thing, because when I welded it, the weld sunk in a little bit, which is to be expected, especially with the MIG weld. They're going to shrink a lot more than like TIG welding. So the corner's out here and it's shrunk in, so if I'm grinding down in the low spot, it'd be real easy to grind over here on the high spot of the corner and grind it down. So be real careful about that, or you'll grind through your corner. You don't want to do that. Alright, if you noticed, I'll call it a wash pass. That's not really what you'd call it. I've got the weld ground down and I'm just kind of going over it. I'll show you. And by the way, don't run your grind. don't run your grinders wide open. That's not necessary. You're going to grind through and tear up a lot of stuff. Just keep the throttle down and just take your time and use some patience. Don't caveman this stuff. But anyway, I'm making that wash pass. That's just kind of to go over and even out the little bit of irregularities. That's something I've always done. You may not believe in doing it or want to do it or can do it, and that's fine. That's just how I do it. And you also notice I'll use my hands a lot when I'm grinding. I can feel, I can feel a weld that's high and it dips down, and then when the weld bead, weld bead here, flat panel. I can feel when I grind it down. I can feel that edge when I feather them together. So I use my hands a lot when I'm grinding to be able to feel that. It's not really necessary. Again, it's just something I've always done. Again, being the body man, I feel with my hands dents and stuff. So that's just how I do it. Now up here on the top side where I welded this extra bit of bead, I got to be a little more careful. I'm also in a trough right here. It's really easy to dig in and over grind this. Did I not? I just don't think I recorded. I had like 10 minutes of, so I might have missed pressing the damn record button again. And if I did, I just ground all this and the inside and talked about how I did all this and how I was being careful and yada yada yada. And I believe I missed pressing the damn button. Son of a bitch. Alright, my next tool for doing this kind of work is, as I mentioned before, and maybe you didn't get to hear it, I ground all this down with my 3-inch roll-out grinder, wherever it's at, hidden somewhere. I was being real careful here not to over grind, and I've gotten to the point now where the door gap fits really good with the door, or this jamb, and I don't want, if I keep grinding, I'm going to over grind it, and I want to fine tune it. My best tool for that is a file. So what I'm going to start doing here is filing it. And what we're doing is roughing out all those grinding marks. The grinding marks are highs and lows, and I'm overly exaggerating all those troughs, and you know what grinding marks look like. Take a file that mess out. Like block sanding, but with a file, so on steroids for bare metal. And this is a half round. I use the flat side on flat stuff, and when for curves and stuff, turn it around and use the half round side, obviously. This inner corner here, where I've welded on and ground on a little bit, I want to dress that up and make it really as straight as I can without having to put filler in it later. If you've watched my other videos about doing sheet metal work, I've showed lots of file work on this channel. It really makes a difference and it helps a lot. So I'm filing the round over it back onto it. You do it with a grinder, you got a very good chance of over grinding, cutting through, grinding too much, all that stuff. Whereas a file, you got much better control. So I'm finding that little round over back in the edge of the panel, or in this case, the corner. If you can do that with a grinder and not screw it up and get it what you want it to do, more power to you. I could do that too, but I just like doing it with a file. You'll wind up with a better, smoother, straighter job using a file, in my humble opinion. Let's see what we got. I like that. That looks good. I like that. I've got a little high spot right here I want to work out, but as far as up here goes, it looks good. I can see where I told you about this inner corner. This inner flange here is not a perfect 90 degree. It's kind of kicked out, or this way, kicked out. I can see a big kicked out spot right there when I close the door. So it makes your eye think the gap is tighter than it really is, because that inner piece is kicking in. So I'm going to take a spoon and a hammer. Basically, it's a high spot. Picture my hand. We got a flat spot, we got a flat panel and a big lump. It's not, I'm over exaggerating. My hand is the big lump. Now I'm going to take a spoon, my big spoon, my thick spoon here, and put it right on the lump and tap it down. If I could use a hammer and it would work, but I get more, not infinite, I get more control by just placing a little corner right where I want to hit it, bump it down, and knock it out. You can do it with a chisel or whatever you got, it works. I just have always done it with a spoon because I have one and it works. I'm hitting it pretty strong, but that's pooched out a pretty good bit too. Don't want to overdo it. And just a little bit more. That's way better. I like that. Now I told you I was going to overbend it and pooch the corner out, and I did. The little pooched out spot I can see just in the light right there. But it's very minor. This is actually one that's so minor the blocking primer will block that out. It's extremely small, but I can still see it. Let me dress it with the file one more time. Alright, here's the gap all welded up from about here up where I quit welding, was about there. So from here up is my gap. Let me grab the, you can't really see a lot by this, but here's my handy dandy 3/16 gapping tool. And it fits really good. See down here, here's how it's too tight. I can't get that panel in there. And then, you know, right here, I'm over talking this to death. Either you believe me or you don't. It's a really good looking gap and I'm happy with it. So as I just said, I got the top section here done. I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom half. I think I'm going to go ahead and set the camera up and let it run. I'll just fast forward through it in case I run into anything I want to show or explain. It's the same steps as we did up here. There's no sense, you know, going through it against, you know, real time or anything. Alright, I want to show you this before I start. This gap before we start. Here's where I quit cutting. You know, right here-ish. I'm going to cut down from here to right above the body line seam. And then work all the way down to here. If I cut this completely loose, which I could, it'll be, you know, moving around and whatever, and I'm going to stop somewhere right here just to keep this anchored, this area right here. Then once I get all this done, I'll fix that. It's just how I'm going to do it. It's going to take a little longer, but it's just how I'm going to do it. All right. What I'm going to do is go ahead and lever over the bottom and get a tack in there to hold it in place. Get the gap where I want it, then I'll come back and trim this or grind it or something so it works. Yeah, that's pretty good. Down here, we need a little tack. That's fine. I'll let that go. But the tack, it's pretty good. We're just a little bit strong. I just ran the cutting disc. Basically, you know, picture this is your gap, really wide, right down the middle of the gap. I'm trying to trim it out kind of both sides. There's also, this corner is kind of wavy, so I'm going to have to work to get it straight. I may not even be able to straighten it without putting a little weld bead on the very corner out. Right here. Sorry. Nope. Right. Now, we're working right here to the loop. Go right here. And get out of the way. Now I can work the little buckle down that's kind of developed. It's better. Alright, we got a definite wrinkle, low spot right here. I told you this edge wasn't perfect and it had some snakiness in it. So what I'll do is I'll put a little wedge bead. God damn it. I'll put a little weld bead right here on this corner like I did up here and grind it flat and it'll be good to go. Alright, the gap looks good. Here's where we started, all the way down to here. I don't like this bobble. Let me get some light over here if I can do it. I don't like this bobble right here. See where it pooches in, which makes this look like it's pooched out this way, or this pooches this way. This is actually about where I want it. It could be driven over a little bit, I think. But this low spot here is what's really bugging me. So I'm going to put weld bead right here on this corner. You know, right, I mean I'm going to go 45 like that, so I have some bead on the inside of the panel in here and out here, and I'll come back and grind it flat. Now the dent I was talking about, there's basically a flat spot right there, and I could even feel there's a damn split in the panel. Oh, that's the factory seam. Okay, well shit. There's the factory seam where the panel comes down and split at the factory to make that flange. That's bugging me too. So I actually need to hammer in here and put some weld bead right there too. But first, I'm going to split, like I said, I'm going to split farther down to about here. Go ahead and I want to get the gap right down to about here, even though I'm going to cut most of that off, or I'm going to cut off right here. I want the gap right, and going down farther and having it there is extra work, but it's just what I want to do. So as before, I like to rough grind with 36, and then come back and finish it with 60. Alright, as I'm grinding this, I got three things going on. The edges of the edge out here, like I told you, is still wavy. The panel itself, when I cut it, you know, has moved in and out some, and it's not 100% in line with the edge. It's only, I'm not talking about a big gap, it's only maybe a half a panel or so different maybe. And I didn't spend a lot of time chasing that. Let me tell you why. This area right here is still going to be low from the door. So I know I'm going to have to build this up with some weld bead and some welding rod right here. So I didn't spend an inordinate amount of time making this perfect, knowing I'm going to have to rework it anyway, if that makes sense to you. Some of y'all might be shaking your head and going, no, that's wrong, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. You know, that's you're welcome to that opinion. Maybe you're right. But it's just how I did it, so that's how I did it. The second thing, this inner lip here I told you about, where for the factory seam and all is, it's pooched out and moved where it's not welded and where I be on it. So I've got to go back and weld this down pretty much next and get this addressed before I want to come out here and work. The last thing is there's a dent right here. See this white stuff? This is body filler from a dent that was in this corner from years and years ago, about 40 years ago, 30 years ago, whenever it was. And it's messing up my hand here. When I rub across my seam, I talked about earlier how I like to use my hands when I'm grinding my welds to feel the weld joint. It's messing my hands up because I got a low spot right here where this body filler is. So I'll probably need to go ahead and grind the rest of this filler out. And I just haven't done it yet, but I might go ahead and turn the camera off right quick, grind the rest of this filler out and have it out of here. Alright, I got this filler ground out. Found some dents here from 40 years ago that I didn't remember, that I repaired with the snatch bar. Ah! I just posted a video about using a snatch bar and this dent, and maybe a short. If you want to, go check them out. They're kind of funny, I think, anyway. But anyway, so what I'm going to do now, I want to weld up this edge out here I was telling you about, and the little bobbles in here. This whole little area right here is really bugging me, and it needs work. So we're going to work on it. That's what I'm going to work on right now. I'm going to take a sanding block like I was block sanding filler. Got one here with 80 grit on it, and how the hell I lost it, I don't know, but I lost it. So this is 36. You're not going to really remove any metal with this. You could if you want to spend hours doing it. It's more to dress it up and kind of let you see what you got going on. If I had 80 grit, it'd be better, but I'm going to use this because it's what I got my hand on. You can see the metal shine up. The file marks are pretty coarse. All things being much coarser than sandpaper. So the block sanding, especially with 80 grit, if I had it, then it will shine the metal up, take out, you know, I don't say it takes the file scratches out, but it certainly does a good job of, let's say, hiding them. And it really makes the edge you're working, it really makes it look good. If you get it straight and you polish it up a little bit with this, it looks really good. You can tell. Way better. Let me show you what I'm working with and how close it is, but I'm still not satisfied. So just hold on. Okay, this is where we are at now. I'm still not satisfied with it. Right here is still too tight. Here's okay. This is where I'm gonna cut it off, like I said, about right here. From here, here's the corner I massaged. It's okay. Right in here still bugs me. You want to put the gap tool in there, you can verify. You know, it's not the greatest gap anyway, but it's definitely snug right in there. This panel edge, like I said, this panel edge going at an angle really makes this hard to do because it's got the curves and different depths. But looking at it out here, I still don't like this right in here. It still don't look right. Right there is a little high spot too. High being this way, that way. This almost makes, this high spot makes that spot look low. I think this spot is good, this spot's high. And what it does down, it comes down, pooches over right here and it comes back. And then it pooches out right here too. Alright, I think I'm going to call it. The spot that's still bugging me is right in here. It's still high. It still is. It's bugging me. There's a little bobble right along in here that I can't get like where I like it. It just looks high right here. It is high. Part of that's the way, I'll show you. Part of that's the way it falls in right here. I've been trying to work this down right here. This is where I put the bead on to build it up, and it needed that. And now it's still high. And I'm just worried I'm chasing it too far. Need to put a spot of weld bead right there. So instead of running this camera, and I could be here for 30 minutes or 30 days. It won't be 30 days, but getting this like I want it. So let me do that. And I'll bring you back when I basically have it done like I want it to be. What wound up happening here, I kept working and working and working in this corner right here, and it just got to the point where it wasn't going to work out. So I said to heck with it. So I grounded it all the way through. This is actually the inner piece here. I ground through completely through the skin out here. The way it was made and pooched out, and the way the inner corner, now I can show you on the inside. Well, the inner corner was pooched out on the side, which is still pooched out, but it's pooched out way back here in the jam. I could not get that to fit for nothing. So I went ahead and ground it through. Sorry, I didn't want to do it, but it had to be done. So now I can weld this little spot up, grind it, and shape it, and I should be good to go. That's what I'm about to do now. I'm not going to film it, not going to show it. I just wanted to show it to you that that's what it took to get this. It's still not 100%. I use the word perfect. There's still a little spot right here that's bugging me, and I keep looking at it, but I've made it way better than it was. And as I've said before, once I get all this primed and blocked with primer, it's gonna disappear right away. I know it is. I just keep staring at that, and it keeps nagging at me. The gap up here, it fits the 3/16 gapping tool, wink tool, just fine. The biggest problem right here is because I told you the cab, this flange, when it turns, it doesn't turn in at a 90, it turns in at an angle. It turns in at this angle here that's pretty steep in all things considered, and when it gets up here, it's steep, and it goes way back in here. So there's a lot of room. Like, here's my door. There's a lot of room to show a gap right there, just coming off of there. If that was my door and it was, you know, gap to there. So it really throws your eyes off. It really monkeys with the gapping. So you can see in here how I reworked it. This little bit of area down here looks kind of crappy. Don't worry, that's all going to get cut off. So that's it. Oh shit! Hold on. So there's the gap. It looks real good. You know, I'm still struggling with that, but I'll stop looking at it and go in tonight. And even when I stand up now, I really can't see it from up here, and that's great. That means further I get away from it, the less I think about it, then it'll be okay. And that gap is fine, believe me. I'm just having a hard time fixating on one spot, and I'll get past it. All right, that gap is done. So that's the end of the video. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know I haven't been posting a lot lately, and I keep saying I'm going to do better and stuff happens, but I'm trying to do better. I do want to get a lot of work done on this truck the rest of the summer, so I hope I actually do it. So please stick with me. If you wouldn't mind, be sure and do all the YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell for new videos. It helps me grow the channel. I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually over 500 subscribers now, so we are growing some. It's slow, so I do thank everybody who subscribed and watched and commented and liked it. It makes a difference. It makes old Cookster feel good. So anyway, that's it. Enough rambling. Be sure and come back for the next one, and I will catch you on the flip side. Y'all come back now. Happy summer, y'all. I'll see you. Bye.